Today we're going to be looking at temperate strategies, and we'll be going over that. So let's look again, just a rehash, where is a temperate climate? So it's in the northern zone, which extends to the subtropical climates. It's approximately 40 degrees north to the Arctic Circle of 65 degrees. So the south temperate zone also extends in the subtropics and the Arctic circles. So most areas that we know of as in the northern hemisphere comprise the temperate climates, and a lot of people interested in permaculture actually come from temperate climates, both north and south of the hemispheres. So we'll look at agriculture in these temperate regions. So farming is normally in what's described as large-scale practices in the temperate region due to plentiful rainfall and warm summers. Most agricultural activities occur in the spring and summer, and cold winters have a small effect on agricultural production, meaning that most people are not practicing agriculture in the winter. So temperate agriculture is characterized by sophisticated agronomic practices, intense mechanization, and the use of inputs like groundwater irrigation, chemical fertilizers, and pesticides. This is a picture called the, like some people say it's like combine phallus, so it's like phallic symbol. They have some that you can see in Brazil where they have up to 60 combines moving at one time, each one doing 40 rows, so you're doing 240 rows at one time. And then they turn around and they go do another 240 rows. So it's a big agricultural system that's developed around the world. So a number of characteristics that distinguish temperate from tropical agricultural systems would be seasonality. So you're going to get like 4 seasons, where here, pretty much I describe it as hot, hotter, and hotter, right? And then that's our one season. And then that leads you to well-defined operations and growing periods. So you're going to have more organization around specific growing periods. Instead, if I want to save seeds or don't, I can plant any time. My seeds will grow. I can save them. And a lot of our plants that we actually keep here, it's because we just keep replanting them. We don't actually have to save the seed. So once it goes to seed, I replant it, it grows back. I don't really need to save it. But you'll have to be more focused on seed saving in a temperate climate. And that'll be season dependent. You'll also have seasons of pests and diseases that would be more prevalent than we would find in the tropics. So that gives us agricultural systems that we may start to devise. So you may have less weathered soils. You're going to have better soils as it comes from a temperate climate where people cut down historically a temperate forest, which would be a deciduous forest. The deciduous trees lose their leaves every year, and that builds soil, where in the tropics the trees don't lose their leaves, so we have poor soils. And you're going to have a slow organic matter dynamic. So your organic matter is more stabilized. Ours here is quite fast. So when we do put in organics like compost, but we have big rainfall events, our organics actually get oxidized faster. So you have a more stable organics, more humic matter, pretty well-defined warm periods with rain. So it's very easy to do what's called rain-fed agriculture for a certain period of time. Temperate agricultural systems use substantial inputs of fertilizers, agrochemicals, and mechanization in lots of different combinations. So those are very interesting, but from a permaculture perspective, we're going to try to look at how we can not use those. How can we still get production, yield, and support our family, but without that type of agricultural system? So we want to attract substantial investment. So these systems are in what we know as the private sector. They favor investment in what they know as high-value crops, meaning that they tend to want to grow things that they get a very good yield, a return from, through mechanization. So each year, there's a smaller number of food that's available. So every year, they have people that study that, the world is having less food available, not more. So we get more calorific calories, so more calories available for more people, but in a less variety. So it's kind of a weird way. We should be actually striving to have calories with variety, but they don't, it doesn't go that way. So the things that people like to consider as high value is wheat, soybeans, rapeseeds for canola, of making oil, corn, potatoes, different types of improved grasses that they would feed to herbivores typically. And they globally have the highest yields of any other agricultural region. So each region tends to pick something that works well for them. And then a whole region will just do this one crop. And that's what we tend to see in temperate zones. So in some climatic classifications, the temperate zone is often divided into several smaller climate zones based on monthly temperatures, the coldest month, and the rainfall. These can include the description of the Mediterranean environment. We have humid or subtropical, which can also be in temperate areas, oceanic and continental climates of, for instance, say Europe's continental climate. So here we can see the Mediterranean where it's located. So there's a little Mediterranean in the northwest of the United States, obviously in the Mediterranean basin, and in the south of the Americas. And we have some humid or subtropical climates. I come from Louisiana, which would be considered humid subtropical. A very similar climate to here in Thailand. So both in Louisiana they grow rice, and they grow rice here also. So I grew up eating rice, very similar climate. And then we can find that around the world. And oceanic, this is going to be places where the ocean current, so we saw in our climates, the conveyor belt of warm water can keep a place warm. So currently, let's say the ability to live in England, for instance, or in Ireland, is because of the warm conveyor belt bringing warm water up to there. If that was to shift or move, that becomes very cold, would not be very easy to live there. So we can see those regions in the world supported by ocean currents. And continental climates are in the interiors of continents that are protected by typically some type of topography dictated by mountains, for instance. So these temperatures can get to 3, but normally they're not going to be over 10 for more than 4 months. So if we define the characteristics of temperate areas into 3 main transitions through each of the 4 seasons. So here how we transition 4 seasons. Particularly winter, which is shortened time period and available for growth, but we're going to look a lot into how we can extend our growing season into the winter. So if we can do that, we'll have more food over the total year. And there's been many strategic developments through the ages to extend growing seasons. So that's more like agricultural technology. We'll start taking a look at what kind of agricultural technology might permaculture be interested in to extend your season.